The Galactic Council had kept peace for 12,000 years. Species came and went. Empires rose and fell. Stars were born and died, but the Council remained strong. It was a place where 1,000 different alien races came together to solve problems and keep order in the galaxy. They had rules. They had balance. They had peace. That peace ended on a quiet morning when Ambassador walked into the great chamber. He was a tall creature whose skin changed colors based on his emotions. Right now, his skin was pale white, the color of pure terror. He stood before the assembled representatives of hundreds of worlds and spoke two words that changed everything. Human spacefaring. The chamber exploded into chaos. Delegates shouted in 100 different languages. Some screamed. Some prayed. A few simply sat in stunned silence, their worst fears finally coming true. Far across the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, Captain stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar vessel, the UES Horizon. He was a tall man with kind eyes and steady hands. He had spent his whole life dreaming of this moment, the day humans would finally reach for the stars. He did not know that half the galaxy was trembling in fear because of him. Lieutenant stood beside him, watching Earth grow smaller through the observation window. She was young, barely 30, but she had earned her place on this mission through hard work and determination. She felt tears in her eyes as she watched her home become a tiny blue dot in the darkness. "It is beautiful," she said softly. "It is," agreed, "and soon we will see what else is out there." Communications officer sat at her station, her fingers moving quickly across glowing screens. She was the youngest member of the bridge crew, but she was also She could speak 6 languages and had learned to read alien signals that Earth scientists had detected years ago. "Captain," she said, her voice tight with concern, "I am picking up something strange. There are signals out there, many signals, and they seem to be talking about us." Frowned, "Can you understand them?" "Not yet, but I am working on it." Back at the Galactic Council, the chaos continued. The delegation demanded immediate military action. They wanted to destroy the human ship before it could go any further. The beings made of living crystal suggested sending diplomats instead. Perhaps humans could be reasoned with. They said nothing. They were insect-like creatures with hard shells and cold eyes. They simply watched and waited. Their ancient texts spoke of this day. Prophecies written 10,000 years ago warned of the endurance walkers, beings who would one day emerge from the galaxy's outer edge, beings who could not be stopped. Elder raised one of his many arms and called for silence. He was the oldest member of the council, a being of pure energy who had lived for 3,000 years. When he spoke, everyone listened. "We have known this day would come," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "For 600 years we have watched the humans. We have studied them. We hoped they would destroy themselves as so many young species do. We hoped they would never develop the technology to leave their world." He paused, his energy form flickering with something like sadness. "Our hopes were wrong. Our prayers went unanswered. They are coming." The chamber fell silent. "We have 2 choices," continued. "We can reveal ourselves and welcome them as equals, or we can hide and pray they never find us." The vote was quick. Almost every delegation agreed. Hide. Conceal all evidence of the council's existence. Hope that humans would wander the stars without ever discovering the truth. It was a foolish hope. They should have known better. On the horizon, Engineer worked in the engine room. He was a quiet man who preferred machines to people. He understood engines and computers in a way that seemed almost magical. Right now, he was studying readings that made no sense. "Captain," he called over the intercom, "you need to see this." Arrived minutes later, pointed to his screen where strange energy patterns danced like ghosts. "Someone has been watching us," said, "for a very long time. These signals, they are old, hundreds of years old, and they are all focused on Earth." felt a chill run down his spine. "You are saying we have been under surveillance?" "Yes, and whoever was watching us did not want to be found. These signals are hidden, buried in background radiation. I only found them by accident." Arrived on the bridge just as made her breakthrough. The young communications officer had finally cracked the alien language. Her face was pale as she turned to face her captain. "Sir, I have translated some of their messages. They are about us, about humans." "What do they say?" Swallowed hard. "They are afraid of us, sir, terrified. They have been watching us for 6 centuries, waiting to see if we would destroy ourselves. They quarantined our entire solar system. They made sure no alien ship would ever come near Earth." Stared at her. "Why, we have done nothing to them." "It is not about what we have done," said. "It is about what we are, what we can do. They think we are dangerous, not because we are evil but because we do not give up, ever. They have watched our history, our wars, our disasters, our plagues, and they have seen that no matter what happens, we keep going, we keep fighting, we keep surviving." She pulled up more translated messages on the main screen, read them in silence, his face growing more troubled with each word. "They call us endurance walkers," whispered, "deathless ones. They think we are monsters." Stepped forward, her voice steady despite her fear. "What do we do, Captain?" Was silent for a long moment. He looked at his crew, brave men and women who had volunteered for this mission without knowing what awaited them. They had left behind families, friends, everything they knew, all because they believed in exploration, in discovery, in hope. "We keep going," he said finally. "We came out here to find answers. Now we have more questions than ever, but we will not turn back, we will not hide." He turned to face the stars. "They prayed we would not come, but we are here now, and we are going to find out why they are so afraid." The horizon continued its journey into the unknown, carrying humanity's hopes and dreams into a galaxy that trembled at their approach. 3 months had passed since the horizon left Earth. 3 months of endless darkness, broken only by distant stars and the soft hum of the ship's engines. The crew had settled into a routine. They ate together, worked together, and wondered together about what they would find. Captain spent most of his time on the bridge, studying the strange signals continued to intercept. The aliens were talking more now. Their messages were urgent, frightened. Something had changed in the galaxy and knew that something was his ship. It was Pilot who spotted the anomaly first. He was a cheerful man who smiled even in the worst situations. But he was not smiling when he called the captain to his station. "Sir, there is something out there. Near the gas giant's rings, it looks like a ship." Leaned forward, staring at the image on the screen. The object was long and sleek, made of metal that seemed to shift and shimmer in the starlight. It was clearly not human technology. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Life signs?" asked. "None," reported from her station. "No power readings either. It appears to be dead, a derelict." Moved to stand beside the captain. "Should we investigate?" Considered the question carefully. Every instinct told him to be cautious. They were alone out here, far from any help. If something went wrong, there would be no rescue. But they had come out here to explore, to discover, to learn. How could he turn away from the first alien ship humanity had ever found? "Prepare a boarding team," he ordered. "You are with me. Everyone else stay alert." The shuttle crossed the distance between the horizon and the derelict in silence. Checked his equipment for the 10th time. Stared out the window, her face a mask of calm determination. Simply watched the alien ship grow larger, his heart beating faster with each passing second. They docked at what appeared to be an airlock. The seal was old but still functional. When the door opened, stale air rushed out to meet them, air that had been trapped inside for centuries. Was the first to step aboard, his magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The interior of the ship was like nothing he had ever seen. The corridors curved in ways that hurt his eyes to look at. Rooms seemed larger on the inside than they should have been. Gravity pulled in strange directions. "This technology is centuries ahead of ours," he whispered. "Maybe thousands of years." They moved deeper into the ship, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. Everywhere they looked, they saw signs of panic. Scorch marks on the walls, abandoned equipment, personal belongings scattered on the floor as if their owners had fled in terror. Found the first body in what appeared to be the bridge. It was not human. It was tall and thin, with pale skin and large eyes that had long since gone dark. It sat at a control panel, its skeletal hands still reaching for buttons it would never press. "What happened here?" she asked softly. Shook his head. "I do not know, but I think they were running from something." Had found a console that still had power. His fingers moved across the strange controls, searching for anything useful. Suddenly, the ship came alive around them. Lights flickered, screens glowed, and a voice began to speak. It was a recording playing on an endless loop. The voice was alien, filled with sounds no human throat could make. But after a moment, the ship's computer began to translate. "Warning, warning, this is an automated beacon. If you have found this ship, you must leave immediately. Do not go toward the third spiral arm. Do not seek the blue planet. The humans are coming." The crew stood frozen, listening to words that had been repeating for 600 years. "They do not stop," the voice continued. "They do not tire. They feel pain and use it as fuel. They remember everything and they forgive nothing. We tried to contain them. We failed. If you hear this message, run. Run and do not look back." The message ended and began again. "Warning, warning, the humans are coming." Turned to, her face pale. 600 years ago, we had not even discovered electricity. How could they be afraid of us? "They were not afraid of what we were," said quietly, still studying the alien console. "They were afraid of what we would become. They saw our potential. They knew that if we ever reached the stars, we would be unstoppable." Looked around the dead ship, at the crew who had died fleeing from a threat that did not yet exist. They had run from humans who were still learning to build simple machines. They had been so terrified that they abandoned everything, flew into the void, and died alone in the darkness. "We need to take everything we can," he decided. "Records, technology, anything that will help us understand. These beings were part of a larger civilization. Others must know we are coming. We need to know what we are walking into." They spent hours exploring the derelict, copying files and taking samples, worked through the night translating what they had found. The picture that emerged was disturbing. The Galactic Council had been watching Earth since before humans built their first cities. They had studied human history, watched human wars, analyzed human behavior, and they had come to a terrifying conclusion. Humans were too dangerous to be allowed into space. The quarantine was not meant to protect humans from aliens. It was meant to protect aliens from humans. "They see us as monsters," said, her voice tired but steady. "Every report, every analysis, they all say the same thing. Humans are persistent beyond reason. Humans adapt to any environment. Humans bond with anything, other humans, animals, even machines. And when humans decide they want something, nothing can stop them." Listened in silence. He thought about human history, about all the terrible things his species had done. The wars, the cruelty, the endless cycle of destruction and rebuilding. He understood why the aliens were afraid. But he also thought about the other side of humanity. The kindness, the courage, the way humans came together in times of crisis. The way they never stopped hopping, even when hope seemed foolish. "They only see part of the picture," he said finally. "They see our darkness but not our light. We need to show them who we really are." Called from the bridge. "Captain, I am detecting movement, ships, many ships, they are coming toward us." The galaxy had noticed the horizon. The game was about to change. Straightened his uniform and walked to the bridge. Whatever came next, humanity would face it together. They always had. The alien ships surrounded the horizon like wolves circling their prey. There were 12 of them, each one larger and more advanced than the human vessel. Their hulls gleamed with technology that made engineering heart ache with envy. One shot from any of those ships would destroy the horizon completely. But they did not fire. Captain stood on the bridge, watching the alien fleet on his screens. His crew waited in tense silence, ready for his orders. He could feel their fear, but he could also feel their trust. They believed in him. He would not let them down. "They are hailing us," reported, audio and visual. "Put it through." The main screen flickered, and then an alien face appeared. It was a tall and elegant, with skin that shifted through shades of purple and blue. His eyes were large and intelligent, filled with a mixture of curiosity and fear. "I am prefect of the collective," the alien said through the translator. "We come in peace, human. We wish to talk." Nodded slowly. "I am captain of the Earth vessel Horizon. We also come in peace. We are explorers, not soldiers." Skin flickered with colors could not interpret. "That is what we fear most," he said quietly. "May we come aboard?" An hour later, and 2 others stood in the Horizon's conference room. They moved carefully, as if afraid the humans might attack at any moment. Their skin never stopped changing colors, shifting through shades of anxiety and wonder. Served them water, which they accepted with trembling hands. Watched them drink, noting how their eyes kept darting to the humans around them. These beings controlled technology that could destroy planets. They commanded fleets that had maintained peace for thousands of years, and yet they were afraid of 5 humans on a small ship. "You must understand our position," began. "The Galactic Council has existed for 12,000 years. We have rules, balance, order. Every species that joins the Council agrees to follow these principles. We do not conquer, we do not destroy, we maintain harmony." "That sounds reasonable," said. "It is, it has worked for, but then we discovered your species." Gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the table. Images began to play, images of Earth, of humans, of history. "We first detected your radio signals 400 years ago," explained. "At first we were excited, a new species, new friends to welcome into the galactic community, but then we began to study you, really study you, and what we found terrified us." The images showed human wars, bloody battles, cities burning, soldiers marching through ruins. "Every species has conflict in its past," said. "Surely you have fought wars too." "Yes," admitted, "but not like you. When we fight, we stop when victory is achieved, when resources run out, when the cost becomes too high. But humans—" his skin turned pale. "Humans never stop. You fight until one side is completely destroyed, and then the survivors rebuild and fight again." More images appeared. Humans climbing impossible mountains. Humans diving into crushing ocean depths. Humans running through deserts, swimming through frozen waters, surviving disasters that should have killed them 10 times over. "Your bodies are weak," continued. "Slower than many species, less strong than most. Your senses are dull, yours are short. By every measure you should be unremarkable." He leaned forward, his colors darkening. "But you are not weak. You are the most terrifying species we have ever encountered. Do you know why?" Shook his head. "Because you refuse to accept your limits. You feel pain, real, terrible pain, and you use it as motivation. You break bones and keep fighting. You lose limbs and adapt. You watch friends die and get angry instead of afraid. Your soldiers fight battles they cannot win, and sometimes they win anyway." Shifted uncomfortably. "That is just survival instinct." "No," said firmly. "That is madness. Beautiful, terrifying madness. We have watched your athletes train until their bodies fail. We have watched your scientists work without sleep for days. We have watched your doctors perform surgery for hours while standing on broken legs." He pulled up more footage. Humans in space stations, laughing and joking in environments that would kill most species. Humans bonding with animals, wolves, elephants, even insects. Humans treating machines like friends, nomming their cars and talking to their computers. You form attachments with everything, said. Other humans, yes, but also animals, plants, machines. You create bonds that defy logic, and those bonds make you stronger. When a human fights for someone they love, they become almost impossible to stop. Spoke for the first time. Is that really so frightening? His colors shifted to something like sadness. Yes, because we know what happens when humans decide something is worth fighting for. You do not negotiate. You do not compromise. You do not give up. You push forward until you succeed or until you are all dead. And sometimes even death does not stop you. Your successors continue the fight. He touched the holographic display, and a new image appeared. It showed Earth, with weapons of terrible power positioned around the globe. You created devices capable of ending all life on your planet, whispered, and then you kept living there, together, knowing that at any moment everything could end. Any other species would have abandoned such a world, but humans stayed. You learned to live with the threat of extinction as a daily reality. Understood now. The aliens were not afraid of human cruelty. They were afraid of human persistence, human stubbornness, the way humans simply refused to accept that anything was impossible. We call you endurance walkers in our oldest texts, said, the deathless ones, not because you cannot die, but because death does not stop you. Kill a human and their family continues their work. Destroy a human city and they build a bigger one. Defeat a human army and they come back with more soldiers and better weapons. He stood, his colors cycling through fear and respect. The Council quarantined your solar system because we were afraid, not of your evil but of your potential. We knew that if humans ever reached the stars, nothing would be the same. The galaxy would change forever. Looked at with steady eyes, and now we are here. Yes, said quietly, now you are here, and our prayers went unanswered. He turned to leave, but stopped at the door. The Council will decide what to do about you. Some want war, some want peace. I do not know what will happen, but I wanted you to understand why we fear you. It is not hate. It is not cruelty. We simply know that once humans decide to do something, nothing in the galaxy can stop them. He left, and the humans sat in silence for a long time. Finally spoke, they are afraid of our best qualities. Nodded slowly. Then we must show them those qualities. We must show them that persistence can build, not just destroy, that stubbornness can create, not just conquer. He looked at his crew, at these brave humans who had come so far. We are going to change the galaxy, he said. Not because we want to dominate it, but because that is what humans do. We see a problem and we cannot rest until it is solved. The galaxy sees us as monsters. We will prove them wrong. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Galactic Council watched and waited, hoping they would not have to learn what happened when humanity truly went to war. The Empire did not believe in negotiation. They believed in mathematics, numbers, cold, hard calculations that left no room for emotion or hope, and their calculations told them one simple truth: humanity must be stopped before it was too late. Admiral Sovereign stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching 3,000 warships emerge from hyperspace around Earth's solar system. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering, built over centuries of careful development. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could stop asteroids. They had never lost a war in 6,000 years. He activated the broadcast system and spoke to the small blue planet below. Attention, humans. This is Admiral Sovereign of the Empire. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Your species will be placed under protective custody for the safety of the galaxy. You have 1 hour to respond. If you refuse, you will be eliminated. He expected panic, begging, perhaps some futile resistance. What he got was something entirely different. On Earth, in a small town in Korea, an old woman named sat in her kitchen making rice cakes. She had lived for 73 years and had seen many things: wars, famines, miracles. Nothing surprised her anymore. When the alien message appeared on every screen in the world, she looked up, listened carefully, and then did something that would become legendary. She walked to her grandson's broadcasting equipment, activated it, looked directly into the camera, and said one word: "No." Then she went back to making rice cakes. That single word, broadcast across Earth, united humanity in a way nothing else could. No long speeches, no committees, no debates, just one old woman refusing to surrender and a planet full of people who felt the same way. Admiral Sovereign was confused. His sensors showed no organized military response, no weapons being prepared, just billions of humans going about their daily lives, ignoring his ultimatum as if it was a minor inconvenience. "They do not understand the situation," he told his officers. "They are in denial. Begin the attack." The first wave of fighters swept toward Earth, expecting easy victory. They were wrong. The Horizon had returned weeks ago, bringing warnings and stolen alien technology. Had spent every waking moment studying it, finding ways to adapt it to human systems. It was not pretty, it was not elegant, but it worked. Captain led a fleet of 30 human ships against 3,000 vessels. The odds were impossible. The outcome was certain. Humanity should have been destroyed in minutes. They lasted 14 hours. Pilot laughed as he flew the Horizon through impossible maneuvers, using the enemy's own weapons against them. Medical officer kept wounded crew members fighting long after they should have collapsed. Engineer performed repairs while the ship shook and burned around him. "They are insane," an officer reported to Admiral Sovereign. "Their ships are falling apart. Their crews are injured, but they keep attacking, they keep coming." Sovereign watched in disbelief as a human fighter, its wings torn off and its pilot bleeding, rammed directly into a cruiser. The explosion destroyed both ships. "Suicide attack?" he asked. "No, sir. The pilot ejected at the last second. He is floating in space, sending messages to his fleet. He is joking about the experience." The battle continued. Human ships were destroyed, but they took vessels with them. Human pilots ejected and were rescued, only to find new ships and return to the fight. Human ground forces on Mars fought with anything they could find: weapons, tools, rocks, their bare hands. A teenager named Organized Civilian Resistance, using gaming headsets and social media. Within hours, she had coordinated thousands of volunteers across the planet, disrupting communications and providing intelligence to the military. "This is impossible," Sovereign muttered. "No species fights like this." His flagship's shields flickered as another human ship exploded against them. The crew inside had been singing when they died. "Admiral," his communications officer said nervously, "they destroyed our flagship." "I can see that." "No, sir. After they destroyed it, they started playing music, celebration music. Our sensors show they are dancing." Sovereign's cold insect eyes widened. Dancing. They were dancing in the middle of a battle they were losing. They were celebrating small victories while their world burned around them. This was not war, this was madness. Then came the counterattack. No one expected it. Defense was logical. Resistance was understandable, but a full offensive against a superior force, that was supposed to be impossible. Had not just studied alien technology, he had improved it. 12 hours after the battle began, human ships were equipped with hybrid drives that combined Earth engineering with alien principles. 24 hours later, those ships were faster than anything they had ever seen. The human fleet, battered and bloody, began pushing forward. They did not retreat to defend Earth. They attacked. They charged directly at the fleet, screaming battle cries in a dozen different languages. How? Admiral Sovereign demanded as his ships began falling back. How did they adapt so quickly? He did not understand, could not understand. It took centuries to develop new technology. They tested everything 1,000 times before using it. They never rushed, never improvised, never made mistakes. Humans made mistakes all the time. They made 100 mistakes and learned from each one. They built things that barely worked and fixed them while they were running. They did not wait for perfect solutions. They made imperfect solutions work. A human commander named broadcast on all frequencies. You came to our home. You threatened our families. You thought we would surrender because your numbers were bigger. You were wrong. Her ship, held together by emergency repairs and sheer willpower, led a squadron directly through the defensive line. We are humans. We build. We adapt. We survive. And when someone threatens what we love, we do not stop until the threat is gone. The fleet retreated. 3,000 ships, the pride of an empire, fled from 30 human vessels crewed by stubborn, injured, exhausted people who simply refused to lose. Admiral Sovereign's final message to the Galactic Council was short. We underestimated them. Do not make the same mistake. These beings are not like us. They do not follow the rules of war. They do not accept defeat. They are humans, and I do not know how to stop them. On Earth, Grandmother watched the alien fleet disappear from the sky. She nodded once, satisfied, and went back to making rice cakes. Some things, she knew, were worth fighting for. And humans always fought for what they loved. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Saul. 1 year since 30 human ships had driven back an empire. 1 year since the galaxy learned that its worst fears had come true and discovered that perhaps those fears were misplaced. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from over 1,000 species crowded the viewing galleries, all waiting to see the same thing, the first official human delegation. Ambassador stood at the entrance, taking a deep breath. She wore a simple uniform, not the elaborate robes favored by other diplomats. Her only decoration was a small pin showing Earth, a reminder of everything she was fighting for. Behind her stood the delegation, Captain, now Admiral after his heroics in the war, whose translation skills had proven invaluable, whose engineering genius had saved countless lives, still smiling despite everything, and dozens of others, scientists, artists, teachers, builders, representing the best of humanity. "Are you ready?" asked quietly. Smiled, "Humans are always ready." She walked into the chamber. The silence was absolute. 1,000 different species watched as the small human woman made her way to the speaking platform. Some watched with fear, some with curiosity, some with hope. All of them understood that this moment would change the galaxy forever. Elder floated forward, his energy form flickering with emotions too complex to name. He had lived for 3,000 years. He had seen empires rise and fall, but he had never seen anything like the humans. "Ambassador," he said formally, "you stand before the Galactic Council as representative of your species. Do you understand the significance of this moment?" "I do," replied. "For 600 years you watched us. For 600 years you hoped we would fail. For 600 years you prayed we would never reach the stars." She paused, looking around the chamber at all the faces watching her. "Your prayers went unanswered." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some delegates shifted nervously. The delegation, still bitter from their defeat, watched with cold eyes. "But you were wrong about us," continued. "Not wrong about our persistence. You were right about that. Not wrong about our stubbornness or our refusal to give up. Those things are true. We are exactly as dangerous as you feared." She stepped forward, her voice softening. "You were wrong about what we would do with those qualities." Behind her, a holographic display activated. Images filled the chamber, not images of war or destruction, but something else entirely. Human doctors on colony worlds, treating diseases that had plagued alien species for thousands of years. Human engineers helping the crystalline repair damage from ancient conflicts. Human teachers sharing knowledge with eager students of 100 different species. Human builders, human farmers, human artists, spreading across the galaxy not as conquerors, but as helpers. In the year since the war ended, we have done many things, explained. Our doctors have cured 3 diseases that your medical science considered incurable. Our engineers have improved energy efficiency in 47 star systems. Our farmers have increased food production on 12 struggling colony worlds. Our artists have created works that have brought joy to millions. She turned to face the delegation directly. You attacked us because you feared what we might become, but you never asked what we wanted to become. Admiral Sovereign's cold eyes showed nothing. And what do you want? The same thing we have always wanted, said. To explore, to learn, to connect, to build something that lasts. She spread her arms wide, including the entire chamber in her gesture. You built this council to keep peace, to maintain order, and you succeeded for 12,000 years, but peace is not enough. Order is not enough. You survived, but you did not grow. You maintained, but you did not improve. You were so focused on preventing disaster that you forgot to pursue greatness. Elder floated closer, and you believe humans can change that. I believe we already are, smiled. Our persistence is not just for war. We are persistent about everything. When we see a problem, we cannot rest until it is solved. When we find something broken, we have to fix it. When we discover something new, we have to understand it. She looked around the chamber once more. You called us endurance walkers, deathless ones. You meant it as a warning, but I think it can be a gift. We will not stop exploring. We will not stop learning. We will not stop trying to make things better. That is who we are. That is what you were afraid of. The holographic display showed more images. Human children playing with alien children. Human families sharing meals with alien families. Human hands reaching out to shake alien hands, forming bonds across species that had never met before. You can try to stop us, said. You can try to contain us or control us or destroy us, but that will not work. We will survive. We will adapt. We will keep going because that is what humans do. She extended her hand, a simple gesture, ancient and universal. Or you can join us, work with us. Let us be your partners, not your enemies. Let us take all this terrible persistence, this maddening stubbornness, this refusal to ever give up, and let us use it to help, to build, to make the galaxy better than it has ever been. The chamber was silent. 1,000 species considered her words. Fear battled with hope. History struggled against possibility. Elder was the first to move. His ancient energy form reached out and touched his hand. It was the first time in 3,000 years that he had touched another being. For 12,000 years, he said softly, we prayed that humans would never come. Our prayers were not answered. Perhaps that was not a curse. Perhaps it was a blessing. He turned to face the council. I vote to accept humanity as a full member of the Galactic Council. One by one, other delegations joined. The species after species, world after world, rising to show their support. Even after a long hesitation, raised their hands. It was unanimous. Felt tears in her eyes. Beside her, placed a hand on her shoulder. They had done it, not through conquest or fear, but through hope. Through the simple promise that humanity would use its gifts for good. The galaxy prayed we would not come, she said quietly to her crew. We answered their prayers the only way we knew how. Smiled by proving them wrong. In the years that followed, historians would mark this moment as the beginning of a new age. An age where human persistence helped cure diseases, build wonders, and unite worlds that had been enemies for. An age where the endurance walkers became not a warning, but a promise. The galaxy had feared humans. Now the galaxy thanked whatever gods they believed in that their prayers had gone unanswered. Because humans had not just arrived in the stars. They had brought hope with them. And hope, as it turned out, was the most persistent thing of all.